going live. We are live and we're just going to set it up before we just start it. It takes 2 seconds. Load. And where we are. Okay, it's just loading. And once before we just stop. Okay. There, we're live.
Okay.
Good morning, everybody from India again. Yet again, a beautiful mom has joined us in the book. I'm so excited. One, that I've reached 89. We are reaching the 90th numbers of 90, 91 to going towards 100. And we have Ashwini joining here. Yet again, beautiful mom, a great achiever. We all are so proud of her, and it's an honor to honor her like a mom in this book. Ashwini, welcome to this book.
Thank you so much.
I'm very excited. And I'm excited for many, many reasons that I'm just 11 moms away and you are here and people are really waiting to hear your story also as a mom. And I always say that mothers who live their story tell their story the best. So I'm no one to sit and read anything about your life. Please go ahead and introduce yourself and then we'll move on to you as a journey of mother and then we'll keep taking the interview ahead. Welcome to the book, Ashwini.
Thank you so much. And first of all, congratulations, Shika. This is a great effort of, introducing 100 moms and bringing to light their journey to people. So congratulations on this mammoth effort. It's a great initiative by you. I'm Ashwini Nachappa, former international athlete. My early childhood began in Calcutta because my dad used to work for Birla Rayons there. Though I was born and brought up born in Coog and then moved along where my father was working. Family of two of us, both my sister Pushpa and I were, international athletes. Worked in a nationalized bank for a couple of years and then moved on with various organizations that I was very closely attached with. One was the Special Olympics and the other was Parikrama, where we coached and nurtured challenged children and slum and orphan children. And of course, I started my own institution. I did a couple of movies, but I think the most important part of my journey right now is transforming lives of young children through my institution school and my sports academy, which is housed in Coog.
Beautiful. It's a very long journey, just very beautifully said in just few sentences. And we will dig a little bit with your journey because it's been quite an incredible journey. And now that you mentioned that you're working with children, I think so many people and moms really need to hear this part of how to bring their children in what. But before we go there, let's talk about your early days and how it was to be in those days. I think things have changed so much in the sports than it was, and especially for women in the 80s, it was totally different. Anything that you remember that you would like to share from those times? Because I'm asking people who are now in their 18s and 19s, they still don't know what it was because they celebrate a lot of athletes today for what it took for the athletes of that time to make this mark all over the world. So we'll just quickly talk about that and celebrate that and honor that right now.
I think in hindsight, I think I'd like to say that I became an athlete by chance as well as, continue that journey by choice. As a young child, my parents didn't come from a sporting background, though Coog was known as a sporting hub back in the 70s. You had the famous hockey team that came from Coog and various other athletes. So it was just that I think my name Ashwini meant a star, a horse, and I was meant to run literally, because even in my school in kindergarten, in the lower primary when I was in Calcutta, I remember beating the boys in small races, and it brought a lot of thrill. It just so happened that when we moved to Bangalore, because my dad's factory would go on lockouts in 70s and for months together. So my mother, my sister and myself moved to Bangalore. and it just happened that our house was near the Continua Stadium. And for some reason, I think my mother would not let us play on the streets, but every evening after school would walk us to the stadium, which was just a few hundred meters away. And we would sit there and watch all the Indian stars training, and I would uh, be bribed by a coach called Mohinder Singh to run every round for a nutrient sweet, which was 5 paisa then. And my sister would read the Amachitra Kathas because she didn't like to run at that point. And I would land up collecting most number of sweets. And I think that's how the journey began. Not really, looking at what I would achieve, but the sheer joy of being on field. And that's how it started. So I think both my sister and I were blessed to become young champions at an early age, right through school and state championship. So there was no really looking back. But I feel, at that point in time, though we all came from very, very average, below average families, was a struggle to survive, literally with just my father being the working person in the home and supporting us in Bangalore, and he running the, he was employed in Calcutta. So, but I think the kind of drive and hunger uh, that was there for us to come out of that and to be seen. And I think the one person I would look up as my hero is my mother, because she was a real woman of substance. She would not let us uh, even imagine what kind of problem she was going through, but would ensure that she brings us hot lunch to school, walk 2 kilometers every day, come back, and when we come back to school from school, would take us through through our training in the stadium, walk us to the stadium, bring us back. So I think that kind of selflessness and determination to ensure that the two kids uh, go through this journey, I think that made us stronger and really didn't want to look back. So though times were difficult, but I think the environment in the 80s uh, was great. There was no thought of drugs. There was no thought of, it was just purely running for the medals and certificates. Today, of course, financial benefits are enormous. We really didn't look at that. It was just bringing glory back home to our state and to our nation. So uh, it was nice. Of course, it was a struggle monetarily, but I think today's children, when I compare them today, it's like they don't want, I mean, sports takes 7 to 8 years to actually bring to light your achievements or your progress. And the patience is not there for these kids today. Everybody wants success immediately. Uh, it's not possible in sport. You've got to hang on there and have that resilience and go through that entire gamut of failures as well as successes to actually see where you stand.
Right, right, and so many things and so many things that you dropped in this beautiful set of things that you just said. One, I would start because this is a project for mothers. This is a project to honor mothers across the world for being a mom and to shine, right? And you mentioned your mom was your pillar, and your mom was somebody who created so much in you that you still feel that she
I'm
was.
not able to hear you, Shika.
Can you hear me now? I think she's.
Hello?
Yeah, your network is your network dropping? I think Ashwini is gone, but thanks for joining in. I can see some people viewing the thing. Can you hear me now, Ashwini? Can you hear me?
Shika, yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah,
I completely lost you at that point.
I think it was a
Hello?
network issues. It happens. Everything is part of the technology world. So can you hear me now?
You're
No?
still breaking up.
Is it? Um,
Now you're okay? Yeah?
yeah, can you hear me? Can we move? Am I still breaking?
Am I?
No, no,
No, no,
you're.
I'm okay now. I can hear you. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay, we can. Happens, happens. excitement is also running in the
That's
network.
technology.
The technology is also exciting. Well,
Yeah.
you were honoring your mom and giving the credit for all the strength that
No,
you
I
have.
lost you again. I think you're breaking up, Shika.
Would you like to come back and join in? Uh, Let me just, okay,
Is it your connection or mine? I'm not
people
able
who
to
are
hear.
watching live can tell us that is it me breaking, is it you breaking? Can you? Yeah, so I'm coming through clear. Something's happening at your network end.
Okay.
Thanks, Melanie, for always saving us in the comments.
Sorry, sorry. Yeah, I can get you, and as you speak, you just go off.
Yeah, can you hear me now? Am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible now.
Yeah, is there a Bluetooth close by? Is there a phone close by? A Bluetooth or something?
Bluetooth, no. Everything is off.
Oh, okay. Is there a phone nearby?
Yeah, there is a phone nearby. So should I get onto the phone?
Just go off. Just make the phone off. Maybe the network is getting.
Oh, okay. All right.
That's
Okay.
okay.
I've just switched it off. Yeah.
Yeah, my 100 moms have witnessed all kinds of things. So it's a
Yeah.
beautiful, live, raw witness of everything that's happening.
Yeah.
Uh,
Apologies. Yeah, you were talking about my mom. Yeah.
yeah, so I was saying that it started because it's a mom's project, and it's you. You started by saying it's your mom, and I always say that when a mom is aligned with her mother pulse, she only releases out in the world something that will create wonders, right? And it's again and again been proven that all the achievements, all the strength, all the stuff comes down from a mom. And that's what this book got started. That today, when it's such an overwhelming state, like, we are all locked up, this pandemic has got in, there's so much happening, the nuclear families have become, especially in India now, the support all over the world. In fact, I've realized talking mothers all over the world are the same. There's so much overwhelm, and life, in spite of becoming easy, is becoming very difficult mentally. And that's why this book wanted to be out, so that 100 moms can give the strength to moms everywhere in the world. That if, and the idea of the book was, if these 100 moms can shine, and we've got some incredible stories of mothers, anybody can. And that's what the book is coming. So thank you for honoring the mother and proving it again in this project, saying the mother is what it starts from and it releases down from there, because that's the mother pulse that I've been talking about in my interviews. And true that you were talking very, and it is very important to talk about the sports part. The patience is less with children today, but also we as parents, the young parents, are very impatient. Uh, we want them to become athletes very quickly. So there's a lot of pressure on them as well of different kinds, because not only the kids have less patience, I think even we as parents have very less patience. We quickly want the PR to come on them. We quickly just, like, even me as a parent, just one stroke of one tennis thing done very well, and we just going crazy. There'll be a picture, there will be a post, there will be a thing as if a very big achievement, and you start dreaming, oh, one day they'll become a tennis player, right? And that's what that's what was not there, and you mentioned in your time. It was just simple: get the medal, run for it, hard work. You get one candy if you take a round. So just to have the perspective on both sides, it's beautiful. And now you're heading academy where you're bringing in children here. So what's the struggle? Is it more? Is it? It's just because the sponsorship is there today. Supporting is there from many, many places come in if you're very good. All that comes in. But do you feel that it's more a mental a balance that children need to get into sports? It's more coming, developing them mentally towards sports more than physically, or both?
I think we have to, realize that the environment and the times are different right now. In our days, I think I can proudly say I'm a product of a school games. I would never have been a sports person if it wasn't for a robust school sports program, whether it was the inter-school sports. It used to be like in Bangalore, inter-school sports used to be like the Olympic Games. And in those days, we didn't have buses, transportation. So everybody would actually, from various schools, merge into the stadium for the championship. And we would have seventh, eighth graders as cheerleaders. So that's the kind of environment I grew up in. Today it is, the academics has overtaken every other aspect, and if you're not a 95 and above, you're considered, useless. But I think in the recent times you see a lot of people who have taken humanities and not necessarily become an engineer and a doctor. Uh, and I think the days when we came from, we had a very, very strong, ecosystem where the sports was integral part of our education through these various sports activities. And I think that has really taken away. Sports becomes an extracurricular activity in the recent past. And then when you have it as an extracurricular activity and it becomes, you don't really get that kind of result that the nation wants to see. So what I have deliberately done with my team, my husband and I started the school. We have 800 children from all over the country. It's a boarding school in Coog. Uh, it's a school which started not having the education background. Both of us came from hockey. He was a hockey player and me as an athlete, but brought in the aspects that we grew up through, where sports becomes an integral part of our curriculum. It is taught as a subject, but it is also played from grade one as a subject. I think the most important thing and the change that I see in these parents as well as children is there is so much that you learn outside of the four walls of the curriculum, and that is through sports. You can teach math through activities on the field, you can teach physics, you can teach biology. So unless you integrate it and make it fun, for me, it's not necessary that every athlete, it's not possible for every athlete to become a state champion or a national champion or an international champion. But the process on the kind of exposure that the child requires, from hand-eye coordination to every aspect, gamut of, being off the field, on the field, behavior issues, everything comes to light once you're on that field. And I think that's a very, very important aspect that we have brought in. And so far we have succeeded. So I see young children today, the mindset is changing. I think for parents also, the mindset needs to change. It's no longer doctors, engineers that you want. It's like you want a good human being who can actually stand up and speak up, who can actually think for oneself and know one's body. And I think that mind-body issue is very, very important. So it's been a challenge. I wouldn't say it came easily, because when we started, we would never send homeworks, and parents would say, why you're not sending anything in writing? They have to write, they have to read. So it's a kind of a journey that we have tried and tested and still trying out various things. But so far in 17, 18 years, we've done pretty well for ourselves. Uh, the most important, our kids have reached various levels in the sports field, whether it's the national team, they've won national school championships. They've reached one of our athletes right now who is a single parent, and she's an ASHA worker who we've sponsored, and she's at the national circuit in athletics. We have a shooting team. So I feel that today's kids, as I said, want it easy, but I think the mindset is slowly changing, because we as a nation has taken on sport very, very strongly. I think when the top organization or the top man works in the nation, think that sports is a way, uh, right from Kashmir, if you say, I mean, the first statement our Prime Minister made was to bring sports into Kashmir so that they don't pelt stones on the road. So they get a kind of a structure in themselves. And I think the structure, the time management, everything comes through a disciplined life through sports. And
Right.
that's what I need to see.
I mean, there were so many things happening in my head when you were talking, and I was making notes of it, but it's this thing. But as you mentioned, and I'm going to talk as a parent also, as a mom. But one, I will talk that humanities have changed for sure, and letting the world know that when I was pushed into humanities, I was very bad in studies. All my life, literally, I flunked from grade 1 to grade 9. I was always into something else except studies, achieving something or the other. And then I was told to go to humanities by my principal. And the principal of the school said humanities, and I'm talking about, 23 years back. And I cried and I cried and I cried, and I'm like, don't put me in humanities, because at that time, if you were in humanities or you were put in humanities, it was the student who doesn't deserve to be in science or in commerce goes to humanities because they don't do well. So that was a child's mind. And I remember my principal was saying that, listen, I'm not putting you into humanities because you're not good, but you're not meant for math and you're not meant for science, and you should be in humanities. And I remember crying, and I remember really pleading, saying that all my friends are in commerce and science and I'm in humanities, and thank God for that day. I actually scored very high in my family as well. By the time I exited, I was a big joint family. The lowest scorer went to the highest scorer by the time I left school in humanities, and got into colleges with first list out, and I was in the top college of Delhi. So just letting people know the perspective when you're saying the humanities part, it was very scary. It's changing now. People are embracing humanities as a subject.
I found that, Shika, with my daughter. She was a national badminton player. And, the school, her training, I would take her at 5:30 in the morning. Child would train for 2, 3 hours, come back, and literally have breakfast in the car, and then pick her up at 2:33 again, go back. She was at the Prakash Parkone Academy, so go back for training, and then you're traveling all over the country for championships and all that. And when she came into the 10th, one of her teachers said, if you are, because by then I was telling, if my daughter can get 50, 60%, that's enough, because she's spending so much time on. And parents would call me up and said, please don't make such statements, because it will come out in the press, and, because our children wouldn't want to study. And I said, but she's spending 6 hours on the field. Which other child is doing that? So it's not necessary that you become a 90% student to. She's taken a different path. And then uh, her teacher told her, if you're not going to do well in the exams, it's going to be tough, so you have to take a break. And they just cut her off at that point in time, which mentally at that young age she kind of lost it all. And then of course she did her board exams, she did well, came through first class. It didn't matter whether she was 65 or 70%, but she got 78 or something. It didn't matter at all. I mean, and she moved on. She went on to, she just gave up badminton because of the discouragement that happened at that point in time, and she didn't want to look at the racket. Uh, and she went on to the University of California, got into the first list of college, because she was also a sports person who had done well, who was a state champion. Uh, but somewhere, I feel when that encouragement doesn't come, it doesn't necessarily be only from home. Of course, the atmosphere at home is very vital, but the entire support system must be available for a child to actually nurture that dream.
Yeah.
So I think at that point, so I see in my child, like, she probably as a mother and who's achieved, she was always compared to what my achievements was. So the pressure of her being at that young age trying to compete with what mother has achieved was enormous amount of strain on her. And I don't blame her for just giving it all up, because everywhere we went, they would first interview me, though I didn't want to be, and then would watch her so keenly to see if she has achieved what she had achieved. So it was very, very tough, very tough.
Yeah, it is. It is, and it's quite a. I can understand, and when I'm saying about my thing being in humanities, I totally am with her, because I hate it. I hate it. being today I've achieved a lot as a photographer and everything, but at that time totally was, I felt like I failed the system and nothing else matters, and I can't do it. And then whatever I achieve, whatever it is meant to be, when you see it from an adult's point of view, and we have some child experts here. We have Melanie here, we have Francis, we have Renu who heads mothers group in the comments. We have my brother-in-law here who's very fond of you. I just mentioned as an athlete, but the whole thing comes down. And when you say that today, I think things are changing. Today, schools are embracing sports as an activity that can be done. But I also feel that like the pressure is whether to achieve as a 90% or a 95% or a pressure to achieve as becoming an athlete. If your child is not an athletic person, is also a pressure, right? If he goes totally into a creative field, that's also a pressure. Like, oh, he's too creative, he's too athletic, he's not athletic. There's so much judgment going on children these days, uh, that we don't know as parents. I feel that like our generation, I have an 8-year-old and I have a 2-year-old. My 2-year-old is very athletic. My 8-year-old is totally creative, and I feel that for him because I am not athletic at all. I've always been bent towards creativity, but there is always a
I don't think, when you, Ashika, when you say that you have to be an athlete, I think every child must go through, as I said early on, the hand-eye coordination. That's the Montessori method of doing. You
yeah.
do through, you should know your body, first of all. It's not whether you're an athlete. And I think that kind of wellness comes in from basic physical activity. Once you're physically, as a family, you try and endorse that physical wellness within the family, it just percolates down to your youngest one. Whether in the house, I remember my younger one when I train and I just do fitness, and she would do sit-ups with me on the bed. So it's like you just kind of create that kind of fun atmosphere at home where the child enjoys, but also expose them to the little bit of playing in the park, playing, in school. There are a lot of parents who don't want their kids to play, to be in the P program. I see some of them who used to write when we started the school because it's too hot, too this. And I said, that's no excuse at all. Everybody has to be on the P field because that's where interaction happens, that's where fellowship happens, and that's where learning happens. Whether it's an inter-house championship, whether it's a music, whether it's chess, whether it is debating, these are activities that bring to life the child.
Absolutely, absolutely, and thanks for mentioning that because that's where I think we need to understand that it's not about becoming something; it's about creating body movement. And what you just mentioned again is the same thing I'm trying to mention, that it all trickles down from a mother, right? Like or a father. I don't want to leave fathers, but if your parents are doing that in the house, it becomes part of your
Yes.
life, and it makes a lot of sense with what you're saying, and to encourage this is very very important. But unfortunately, schools in India specifically have been off for 2 years.
That's a global problem. Let's look at it. I mean, everybody is talking about it negatively. Yes, the first time. I think the important thing is to keep our minds active and not just go on repeating, this pandemic, because that's become an excuse for most of us today, for not doing things. And I think, the first lockdown was bad. The second was, testing patience. But it also brought a lot of families together. It brought understanding in families. So let's look at it the positive side. It brought a number of people who were on high horses down. So everybody, came to the same level playing field. Yes, this is there to stay. So, and I don't think life should be led with fear. These are things that are going to come in our lifetime. And as I keep telling, all of us have got it. I'm happy I ticked it off my bucket list. So let's look at it in a more sensible way and keep our mind away from these things and do activities, whether it's reading, playing music, cooking, do something involving everybody. Schools are there. I mean, today kids with their gadget is is hard to really get away from technology and the gadgets that they are with from morning 9 till 3 o'clock online classes. But I've been fortunate, when in our school we started the school in August, and till about 10 days back, where the government said that we have to shut down the uh, the hostels, schools with residential facility. We've just closed in 10 days now after Christmas break for 10 days. Otherwise, from my Mont till 12th graders, everybody was back on the campus.
They have to be because, like, I mean, look at
And the joy, the noise, they are not worried about who's got what, they're just enjoying life. And I think that's how we should be fearless right now and try and face it. If it comes, doesn't matter. It comes like a flu. I mean, let's not be so, you've got to go out in the sun. You've got to get your vitamin D. You've got to get all that is available outside rather than just being indoor and trying. So
But that's
nobody's safe.
the thing is that, I mean, I am fortunate to have a garden. Like, we were in a quarantine for 4 days, 5 days. I have a garden here. The first lockdown, I was in Bangalore on 14th floor. We tried our best in those 3 4 months with the 4 month old baby. Whatever we tried, we were playing badminton in our drawing room, right? And doing it. And I saw my 8 year old go to this. The school briefly opened for once a week for that one sports activity, and the noise and that thing for that 1 hour was like, for 2 years they've been like trying to be indoors, trying to make sense of this online world, and they screamed and they were like looking at it. And my younger one, who's actually never been to any open thing because he was 4 months old, he was 2 years old, looking at these kids going totally crazy in that sports activity once a week that I was taking, which is again been shut down in this hit again. But I feel that people in high rises and kids in high rises are the physical activity is
It's a
getting,
challenge. It's definitely a challenge.
it's a big
It's
challenge.
definitely.
And slowly, so that's the challenge. And I'm so glad so many places all over the world, schools did open after 9 weeks. And Renu is here and she was telling me, oh my God, you guys are still in lockdown with schools not opening up. I did it for 9 weeks in Australia and I was done. I
Yeah.
couldn't see him anymore more than 9 weeks inside. And we've been 2 years. This is the second year finishing in this March, for the second whole year going online. And I don't know how your uh, active school like yours, like a sports school, resists not taking the kids like in
We are not a sports school at all. We are a regular school which
right.
houses a sports academy. So it's a regular school with an ICSE curriculum. But it was surprising when they came down in August. A lot of our young kids, a couple of them came with arthritis, came with so many other issues, because and it's taken almost 4 months for us to get them, because there's a routine of physical activity for every child before they go to class. If they are the boarders, they start from 6:30 in the morning, so there's a routine. And it's so great to see them all back fit and having all the enough vitamin D that they require to get on with life. And it's been hard on them, it's been hard on parents, because they don't know what to do with kids. And I think and most of the parents who don't understand the technology and the online, so difficult to monitor. So it's been in a way a learning curve for everybody. If you see, even our servants, they bought 2 3 mobile phones for their kids, and they kind of monitor it, they're learning from it. So it's been a learning curve for everybody, and I think there's good and there's bad, but these kind of things are there to stay with us. So let's move on in life. And I think it's, if the parent, the mothers decide that, my mother who got COVID, she's 80 years old, and she says, "Ye sab to kuch nahi hai. It's just like a fever. Don't worry about it." And I was more worried about her. But she said, "I mean, you can't live life like this." And she would go for a walk, put her mask, and sit. And I think that's the best way to face these things. Just face
Absolutely.
it all.
Absolutely, and it's just the discussion went here because we're all moms here, and every mom has, you know,
Today's moms are very protective.
No, honestly, Shruti, in this 100 months journey, so many things have changed in my perspective, and I've seen so many shades of mothers that I just call them shades of mothers. There
Yeah.
are all shades of mothers available. There are mothers who are protected, there are mothers who are not protected, there are mothers who are working, there are mothers who are not working. And then when this project started, I realized that if you're a working mother, you're a workaholic. If you're an overpossessive mother, you're a protective mother. If you're a mother who's balancing, you're too balanced, you're too strict. Like mothers are never left because this world of mother-child is
But
so
that's what's great about mothers, because you can
exactly.
juggle all these things and yet look after everything that needs to be done. I mean,
That's why I brought this whole book. And I myself have dropped, in spite of working with mothers for 20 years as a photographer, I have myself dropped a lot of judgment which I thought I was carrying because mother after mother after mother after mother has taught me in these 100 interviews that we're just another shade of mother, but we still shine and we're still bringing the world out. And including you, you're the one of the 100 moms in the book. Who's going to just say, I'm another shade of mother who's an athlete, who still, has a lot of stuff to offer. And I know one day that somebody will open your page in the book and say, if Ashwini can do it, so can I. And that's the book, the pulse of the book. Moving on quickly because I don't want to take more time. There are people who are watching Sweetly here, downloading Velu is here. That's a testament. There's no one size fits. Yeah, that's what it is. And I realized that I was being guilty, saying that this is the right kind of mother, being difficult on myself as well. I'm not right. I'm not okay. This is not okay. This is not fine. When I was growing up like that. And whoever knows my story also knows my story that I didn't have a mom after 6. She was taken away because she was schizophrenic. So there's so many things that I've realized through this project, Ashwini, that mothers also carry what happens to them as a child into their motherhood, and then they move it forward. And if we can all shoulder together and say we're just moms, and we're just not just moms, we're just moms, we're not just moms, we are everything to our child, and that world that we're bringing out is what this book is bringing, and it's an honor to know
I
that.
think for all moms, it's
Yeah,
important to realize not to be harsh on oneself and
yeah,
keep judging oneself. I mean, mothers need to do things by their heart, and
yes,
it's just more of the heart that comes in.
absolutely.
Sometimes you may just go wrong, sometimes you may be a little harsh. It doesn't matter. I mean, that's all part of, learning to be a mom. Even though I have a second child, and, you're still learning, you're still it's a process that carries on. And my daughter, who's 27, she says, "Still don't baby me." I said, till I die, you're still my child. And that's how my mother babies me. She still says, "No, don't know. There's a cook. Why you want to do?" So I think that's going to is there to stay. So just enjoy it and let the kids enjoy that kind of love and care that they
Yes.
have.
Actually, I would really urge you to meet all these 100 moms, and we have some incredible stories. And Velu is here as well, who heads, mothers group and helping them to live their best life and free themselves from all this. And she's a coach that helps mothers across the world to do that. And we have parenting experts, we have mothers who've had 12 children, we have mothers who are coaches, NLP, air scientists, Air Force officer, comedians, and the shades of mothers not ending. But when these 100 mothers come in this book and I do the 100th interview, one thing is for sure that no matter what, the mother pulse is what will save this world. We've realized this. And if that mother pulse is aligned, she needs no outer validation. She needs nothing from outside to know exactly how to raise a child, what to do, and this whole confusion dissolves. And that's the mother pulse we're trying to get the focus on. And you 100 moms are all aligned, bringing that story out, saying, align yourself to the mother pulse and everything will fall in place. Everything will fall in place. Quickly to take you to self portraits, what do you feel about it? Have you ever felt that the camera, I mean, you've been in the media for so long, but do you ever feel anything about expressing yourself visually? Do you think you've been with your children in the pictures, or do you think you've shied away from or stayed behind the camera? What has been your family situation? Because otherwise, you've been in camera forever, you
Oh,
know.
well, I'm not a selfie person, but uh, I
Not
think
self portraits.
but the journey of our kids, I think we've got a whole lot of family portraits, various occasions. Right from, I still remember, I feel very bad that I couldn't record my daughter's voice when she was growing up. The moment I would say on the recorder, she'd just go mum. So I haven't got that on. But of course, on occasions, and we try and take as many as possible. Even going out as a simple, just for to a restaurant. There's a photograph taken because my other daughter is in Paris right now. So there's always this family group that shares pictures. So should not be shy. These are memories that's there to stay, and it's a feel-good move, moment to just be there and enjoy what's on the table and the company that we are surrounded by our family. So I think I look at it in that fashion.
Oh, yes.
So it's a great way to.
And just to let like the movement, because you're going to get integrated to this whole self-portrait thing, and it again what you said proves it, that one, when you have a mother who brings confidence to you, brings up a child with confidence, if she's going to have a lot of self negative talk about herself, she will release children with a lot of self negative talk. I'm fat, I'm not nice, this is not good, things have changed, hair has changed, I've become a mom. So coming down from your mom, trickling down confidence in you, then sports adding the another level of confidence to your body and to your thing, and then achieving that, and then raising your own two daughters, has been the whole thing. And it's I'm happy to hear that, because through camera we are realizing a lot of moms have confessed that we don't want to be in front of the cameras, we don't want to be there, they want to shy away from cameras, they want to be behind it. But all that is behind that is so much more that we are exploring through this book. So I'm waiting for your story. This book is not going to be just pictures and faces. This book is going to be telling story by story through pictures. Each page is going to be opened, and there's going to be a story and not just a face. And like I have a mom who walks, her name is Dawn, and she's that small walking in Tamil Nadu for last 6 years in this terrain where I would not even go, alone. And she just walks alone there because she loves to walk. And she's saying, "Oh, India is safe." I don't know why people think India is not safe. I'm like, you're amazing. Not being an Indian, you feel India is very safe. And she's from Bangalore as well. So we will have stories after stories of mothers declaring their message through this, and I'm waiting for your message. What's your dream, Ashwini, before we wrap up? What's your dream, if I ask?
Uh, for me, dream is about hope. If you dream, there's always hope that you will someday realize it. Not necessarily every dream. My mother dreamt that both of us become an international athlete and come out of that shell of uh, you know the struggles that we are going through. And I think I dream of seeing young kids and my kids growing up as good human beings, sensitive to their surroundings, sensitive to issues that are there, not read too much into the print that every day we are bombarded with so much of negativity, but actually engage themselves in helping one another, in sharing. And I think that's the biggest thing that we need. So my dream to see my school do well, my young ambassadors go out from my institution and actually convey this message and be part of that global community rather than just being shelled down into their own because knowledge is to be shared, achievements has to be shared. I always tell on the track, if my records are not broken, that means there's no progress. Records are meant to be broken, and only then you will see the progress. And that's what I want to see. I mean, an environment, an ecosystem that allows every child to blossom, irrespective of whether you're academically tuned or creatively, or so there is a space for everybody.
Yes, and I welcome you to this book, and you will meet the community of moms across the world to take this message out, Ashwini. Because my dream is to have 100 dreams come true through this book, and every mom has come out with a dream, and we'll make this dream come true by becoming 100 moms vessel and taking each one's message across the world from different parts of the world. And I just remembered, my son who's 8 years old, who doesn't know PT Usha, because PT Usha was like, she was
It
like,
was, yes,
Michael Jackson, PT Usha, these were like our names when we were kids. And I was just telling him, he's like, "Oh, which mom are you interviewing today?" So I said, somebody who beat PT Usha. And he looked at me. So I was like, okay, I need to speak in his language. So I was telling him that Usain Bolt, she was Usain Bolt of our country because he loves Usain Bolt. And so she was Usain Bolt of our country, and my mom today beat her twice in the race. So oh, so she's faster than Usain Bolt. I said, yeah, probably. That much I don't know in technical term. So he got that, and it was the shine in his eyes that I was trying to introduce somebody who runs so fast. So it was,
Thank you, but I think Usha was one of our greatest athletes in
yes,
India, so there's no doubt about that. Of course, I did beat her, but I think you must give her that credit
of course,
because
she
she
was.
brought him to. But that's all. That's all the journey is. You beat some, but you move on, and it
And
just
that's
carries
what
on.
you said that beating is the next progress. And I think her is somebody that even as kids we have celebrated while running. In fact, in our games, PT Usha was somebody who was like, as girls when we are running and all, and we would compare ourselves, oh, you're like PT Usha, you're not running as fast. So she was in our, I was probably 7, 8 years, 6, 5 years old or
Because
more.
at that era, she was the one who really brought into light
For all
what
of
women's
us.
sport was all about. Yeah.
All of us. And I still remember, like I don't run fast, and I remember people comparing everybody who ran fast to her, and her name was in every child's mouth at that time when we were young. So really honoring her as well. Till today, like for me, it's when you say that, I'm like, wow, she is this thing. So it's an honor to have you in the book, Ashwini. You have a message to take out,
Absolute
and
pleasure.
we will spread this message to 100 moms everywhere. And thank you for being part of this book. I'm looking for your story.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
And
Take
to
care.
all the mothers who are around the world.
Get to meet them. You get to meet all of them and talk to them and listen to their stories. And I must say that I'm not the same person after hearing a lot of stories. I'm not the same person. And I have some few mothers who are coming in the next 3 days. They just, I just keep telling them that if they can do it, so can I. If they can do
Everybody
it,
can do it. Yeah.
yeah.
Yes.
So let's just stay on. We're just going off live. Thank you everybody for supporting here and watching it. There were about 7 or 10 people who were watching, no, not commenting, but they were actively watching, and I could see their likes and stuff coming in. Thank you, Ashwini, and I'm just going to go off live to stay in the
Yeah.